there was more fun in the moments with these characters and a lot less navel-gazing than before. The earlier show, at its best, was fantastic. At its worst, it was two characters in a room talking about what a hero is. I felt that had been done. I'm not taking swipes, I just didn't want to hear characters grousing about their lot in life." End quote. This is a quote from Daredevil Born Again's showrunner. After the first 2 episodes, it seems that this quote is true. I want to show that by comparing 2 similar plot points and examining how they're handled. Spoilers ahead. At the start of Season 3, someone close to Matt dies and he's sad. He chooses to renounce Matt Murdock and only live as Daredevil. At the start of Born Again, someone close to Matt dies and he's sad. He chooses to renounce Daredevil and only live as Matt Murdock. On the surface, they are similar. In execution, they couldn't be farther apart. In Season 3, Episode 1, Matt has conversations with Lantom and Maggie. Frankie and Karen talk about mourning Matt's loss and they pay his apartment bills, hoping that he's still alive. Matt has a speech about how Stick was right about how caring for people makes you weak. That is why he stays away from Foggy and Karen now. Then he brings up an anecdote about the Book of Job to explain his crumbling relationship with his faith. He said he used to be God's soldier, but not anymore. Quote, "I am what I do in the dark. I bleed only for myself. I'd rather die as the devil than live as Matt Murdock." End quote. These iconic quotes explain exactly what Matt believes, and the dialogue surrounding it tells us why. Later, Maggie confronts Matt about his self-pity and brings up the orphans and his father as examples of people that didn't give up. This could emotionally connect to Matt since he was an orphan and obviously he cared about his late father. Matt pauses after a speech, indicating that it might have had an effect on him. Once Matt's powers start returning, he starts training again and his spirit is lifted, allowing him to recognize that he was being a jerk to Maggie. Her resilience in trying to help Matt builds up her character. When he suits up as Daredevil, his choice to allow himself to die reveals how his character has changed. The old Matt wouldn't have done that. That's all in Episode 1. In Episode 2, some dialogue with Maggie implies that he wanted to die. More dialogue implies that Matt believes that he'd be better off dead if he can't fulfill his calling. He says he no longer cares what God wants, showing that his faith is still shaken. We also learn a little about Maggie's history. The flashback of Lantom and young Matt's conversation hints at the present Matt's potential to return to his faith. In the present, his conversation with the priest reveals that Matt used to listen to prayers in the church and try to answer them as Daredevil because he thought that was his duty. It also continues to establish his lost faith. Even though he no longer thinks God made him Daredevil, he will continue to be Daredevil for himself. From these introspective, dialogue-heavy scenes, we learn about the character's beliefs, values, histories, and personalities. This is called character development. We know why they do what they do and believe what they believe. Compare that to Born Again's first 2 episodes. In Episode 1, Foggy dies, and this enrages Matt so much that he pushes Bullseye off a building with killing intent. Dex survives though. Foggy's death being the thing to make Matt consciously try to break his rule is a great one because that's his closest friend. The rage is understandable. It also makes him quit being Daredevil. How did he feel about trying to break his code, and why did he quit being a hero? Will we find out? In his conversation with Karen, we learned that he ghosted her after the event, then she ghosted him. About Daredevil, he said he'd let the system handle it, and he won't let himself be Daredevil. He doesn't know if it'll help, but he says it won't make it worse. When he's talking to Fisk, he says that he felt like he lost the privilege after Foggy's death. He said that despite the good he was doing, he was also causing damage. What did he mean by that? We don't know. When asked about trying to kill Dex, he just nods. Episode 2 has nothing. So far, there is no coverage on how Matt feels about nearly breaking the rule that defines him as a hero, the rule that he fought tooth and nail to protect against Punisher in Season 2. There's barely anything about how he feels about Foggy's death or how that affected him. The only effect so far is that he quit being a hero, and we don't even have a solid answer on that either, just vague quotes. You see, there's a point to characters in a room talking about what a hero is. There's a point to navel gazing. It's character development. In Season 3, Elektra's death shook Matt so much that he lost his faith because he felt betrayed by God and started pitying himself. He chose to abandon his friendships because he believed that they made him weak, which he learned from Stick. He even wanted to die at one point because he felt like he had lost his calling. All of that came from the introspective scenes. In Born Again, all we've gotten so far is that because Foggy died, Matt got so angry that he tried to kill someone, and his death is the reason he quit being a hero.